Check, 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 check. Check, check. Hot dog. All right. You up. Let's move you over to here. Move you over to here. Sounds like the audio's working okay. It's like the audio's working okay. Okay. Looks like we don't have a stub. Okay. Lots of things up here. How do I sound to all of you? I yield to the floor. Please stand up. Okay. Okay. In there. Did I mute myself by accident? Nope. I'm still there. Can I get a howdy doody from somebody in the audience who's listening to me and can tell me whether or not I actually sound coherent? Once again, I need the elevator music. Close you. Close you. Need you open. Need you open because you're my notes. How's everybody doing? It is windy as all get out here. All right, up to 5 people watching. 6. How do I sound? Anybody want to check in? Say hi. Chat hi. Michelle, you are my first one to say hello. How do I sound? How's the audio? Great. Okay, good. You win this week's prize. Nope, sorry, Felipe. You're late. Flattery will get you nowhere. You win the opportunity to listen to me chat with you about WiscWeb fun. Nope. Just wanted to make sure my audio was working because sometimes things change on my computer and I've got many windows up and running at the moment and I will lose track of where all of my audio stuff is. So. Okay. Chats are open. Jenna is here but muted. Yeah, I'm gonna close that. Unmute my desktop so Jenna chimes in. She can be heard. It's 12:01. We'll give it a couple more minutes just for people to start to filter in. The noon hard start sometimes. People are getting out of meetings, grabbing a bite, etc. So we'll let it be for a couple of minutes here. Um, we one of the things I'll touch on is we did update the UW theme this morning. A couple of things on the front end that I'll point out. Some of you may have already noticed it and have not yet communicated it back to us, but um, there's a bug that we noticed that we're investigating. It's not a site breaking bug, it's just a weird bug that we have to figure out. And then another thing that people have been reaching out to me on a regular basis since we updated the theme this morning is that events are showing up as page not found. And we want to make sure that we talk through like what's happening there and how to address that issue. So I'll kind of demo that stuff as well. So okay, chat. Yep. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll get started here. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Matt Goins. For those of you who don't know the voice, I don't have my camera running this month, but I am the trainer for the WiscWeb team. I do content strategy, consultation, support, user experience stuff, accessibility stuff. I'm kind of a jack of all trades for things that go on within WiscWeb that don't involve the development side of things. I'm not a developer, but I do play one on TV. Jenna Klinner is also with me, though she is not, she's muted at the moment, but she'll chime in whenever anything comes up that her purview needs to be given. She is our service lead. And then there are all of you, I shouldn't say all of you, but a number of you who are our WiscWeb users. So thanks for tuning in this month. So, got a pretty full agenda to chat about. We, like I said, we did update the theme this morning. It wasn't a huge update, but I do want to discuss a couple of things that we did touch on within it. Um, the quickly grab the change log and dump that into the chat here so anybody who is so interested can take a look at it. That's our change log there. Couple of things that we did on the front end side or on the user end side is first off, we updated some of the accessibility for keyboard controls so that the menu is better accessible for keyboards. And that was just an update that needed to happen. You maybe can't even notice it, but I'm tabbing um, and shift tabbing through the menu up here. If I hit my down arrow, gets me to there. If I tab over to the next one, it moves me there. So this was just an accessibility thing that we wanted to make sure that we address. One of the things that's very important to us with the WiscWeb, with the UW theme, with marketing, UW marketing, who are our partners in working on the UW theme, is we want to address accessibility as much as we can. Accessibility standards for us are exceptionally important, and we try to push those standards as much as we can and encourage all of you to also be aware of accessibility within your sites. Your site should be usable by everyone, not just who your specific audience is in mind when you are building it. So that's just one of those things that we work on in the background to help make the theme better overall for our audience. Another thing to be aware of within the theme is we made a change to the faculty staff members page. So now if you go in and you edit a faculty staff member, so this is in my training site, so if I have Chancellor Blank here, one of the things that we added, and let me zoom in quite a bit here so you can see it, is we added the ability for you to add a website URL and a website title. So this is something that a number of you who are in departments or programs, and you have members who have their own lab websites or their own project sites or something of that nature. This is a question that's come through a number of times. We've now added this. So if I add that in and I update her page, it now shows up like that. And so again, this is just a small update, but one that is significant in something that we have had requests come through quite a bit for, just because of the way that um, you want to generate traffic to the sites of people who exist within your department, your program, your lab, whatever it might be. Another small thing that we did is the title of a particular faculty or staff member used to come through in all caps. We have changed that so that it is proper sentence case. Again, small things, making it a little bit more accessible. All caps is not an accessible way to display words um, within a page, so we wanted to make sure we addressed that as well. So those are really the key things that you will notice that we did with the theme update. We're also doing a number of background things. Um, we try to plan ahead, so we'll make some changes on the UW theme on the development side, so that future changes can occur. So just to be aware of that. All right. So the bug that we've noticed and we are aware of is in the theme right now, breadcrumbs are not displaying correctly. And we're aware of it. We're aware of what's happening. We haven't figured out why it's happening yet. Our developer can't duplicate what's happening um, in his local environment, so he's tinkering around with that. I can probably show you a better one here at the page elements, a little bit deeper. Oh, nope, clicked one too many times. Sorry. So you can kind of see here the breadcrumbs are displaying in all caps and they are not showing up as broken. And I think this is in, and Jenna, if you could chime in at this, I believe this is happening in base UW theme sites. Is it also happening in sites that have child themes? Nope, nobody heard a word you said because my audio is broken. So I apologize. Yeah, no, it's fine. It, we're investigating it. I'm not gonna go back into all that. Why is that? See, things happen, and uh, my stuff breaks. I apologize. Anyways, we are investigating it. We're aware of it. We'll figure it out, and we'll communicate out when we can find the issue and fix said issue. So we apologize for that, but uh, thankfully it's not a site breaking bug. It's just an annoyance. It's just a visual annoyance. That's all. So otherwise, that's the theme update for this month. If you have any questions, go ahead and throw them into the chat there. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to a couple of the other topics that I have in here. One of the things that a number of people, I think I've gotten 4 or 5 emails already this morning about it, is since we updated the UW theme, for some sites, and again, it's hard for us to find where it happens and why it happens. For some sites, your events might not be displaying correctly. You might be seeing a page not found, a 404 error page. And so I've had a number of those come through. It is a very quick fix for you to look at. So if you're noticing that you're getting a 404 error page on any of your events, if you go into your dashboard area, go down to settings and go to permalinks, And all you have to do here is click save. That's it. And this is a process that we refer to as flushing the permalinks. And I'll put the KB doc in the chat as well so that everybody has access to that. But this is a process that you can do as admins of your site to flush the permalinks of your site. And this will affect anything that we use within the UW theme that is using a custom post functionality. So things like events, things like faculty staff member pages might happen for publications as well. If you notice any of those types of posts coming back as page not found, just go ahead and run through this process of flushing your permalinks and then visit your site in an incognito window and test it from there because you may have everything cached locally, so you want to view it in an incognito window just to test it out there. So that's the one thing that we did. That's one thing that did come through um, this morning after we did that was we noticed that a few sites were having that issue. So just be aware of that. Okay. Bum, 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 bum. Lots of notes here. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the Google services things that I want you. Whoa. Yes, I can, Meredith. Let me start back over from my dashboard. So, from your dashboard, hover your mouse over settings. I see quite a bit more than you all will see. I'm in my global admin account. But hover your mouse over settings and just click on permalinks on the right. And then it's just as simple as clicking save changes. That is all you have to do here, and you'll get a little message at the top that says permalink structure updated. That's it. That's flushing the permalinks. Okay, so moving on, let's talk a little bit about the Google services updates that have been happening over the past several months, and for one of them, it's I think it's been almost a year. But um, a couple of things to be aware of. First is the Google custom search engine is no longer called the Google custom search engine. So for those of you who have done this in the past, if you go to your customize area and you look at your search options, some of you may have gone through the process of adding a Google custom search or a Google search um, um, to your site. I, a couple of things here. It's now called Google Programmable Search. It's no longer called Google Custom Search Engine. So we just updated it to say, we updated our customizer to just say Google Search Engine, mainly because we don't want to try and keep up with um, all the things that Google updates on a regular basis. But we also have updated the KB documentation, and this has to do with we worked with the Google Services team, or we work with the Google Services team. You now have in the past, our process was we would have you fill out a request form that went up to the Google Suite team, the G Suite team. They would then create the search engine for you and then make you an administrator of it. And the reason for that being is they wanted to have the ability to strip out the advertising that would appear in Google search results pages. That is now something that you can turn off as well on your own. So we have updated our documentation to walk you through the process of creating your own Google programmable search account and then adding that search engine ID to your site. And again, not a huge change here because of the fact that it's just a naming thing and just a process thing. Nothing else significant is happening. I will say for those of you who have tuned in the past to my Learn with Mats, there is a Learn with Matt out there where I talk about. It's at the bottom of the training page. There is a Learn with Matt where I talk about the Google services and how they all sort of interact with each other and within the UW theme. And this is one of those spots where it's very beneficial for you to be aware of Google Analytics. Google Programmable Search and Google Search Console. Those are three different services that all would benefit you if you were making use of them, because it tells you a lot about how people are using your site, how people are finding your site, and how people are finding things within your site. So I would recommend taking a look at that particular video if you wanted a little more insight into those three items together. So I'll throw that link into the chat as well. So that's the first Google service update that we wanted to. The other one is a bit more significant, which is for those of you who are Google Analytics users, you have undoubtedly received the message or seen the information that, and it's right here at the top. I'll zoom in so that people can see it. Universal Analytics will no longer process new data in standard properties beginning July 1, 2023. So, Google Analytics is going to stop using their Universal Analytics code to collect data, and instead, they are only going to honor data collected via the Google Analytics 4 ID value. Now, one of the questions that I've gotten a few times, and one of the concerns I have gotten a few times is, well, what happens to all of that data? Um, the data isn't going away. The analytics just isn't going to collect anymore. They're not deleting the data, they're not getting rid of it, they're just not going to collect it anymore. So what you have to do is you have to go through the process of setting up a Google Analytics 4 property and switching over to that in your customize area down in Google Services. So I wanted to make sure I pointed that out first. So is this the link? So the video link is for the it's for analytics and search, programmable search and search console. Honestly, I don't remember if I touch on Google Analytics 4 in that video. I might, but I know that I really do need to do a more in-depth learn with Matt on Google Analytics 4 to talk people through how to use it, how to set it up, what to look for, all that jazz. Because I've done it with a few people, but I need to do something a little more widespread. Um, Regardless, so the we have until July 1st, 2023. So I want to do something a little more in depth in there. So I don't want to go too far down that road right now. I just simply want to say your analytics aren't going away. They're just going to stop collecting on July 1, 2023. So you want to make sure that you do switch over to Google Analytics 4 at some point during that process. Now, within our department, not within WiscWeb, but within our department, we do have somebody who is a analytics expert, Jonathan Dietering, for those of you who have worked with him in the past. He actually is going to be doing a presentation at I believe at the IT Professionals Conference, which I don't remember the date of that, but he's going to be presenting on this change to Google Analytics 4, and I want him to also have a presentation probably during either a lunch and learn or a learn with Matt, um, to basically just cover what he's going to talk about during the IT Professionals Conference. His recommendation was, for those of you who use Google Tag Manager, you can have both your Universal Analytics tag as well as your Google Analytics 4 tag running at that time and collecting data to both. So you might want to set up your Google Analytics 4 tag within Tag Manager, ID within Tag Manager, if you're worried about losing data or you're wanting to continue to collect data. This is all very complicated conversation. So if you're not understanding this, please don't worry. Please don't feel bad. I'm barely holding on here with this as well myself. I understand what needs to be done, but there's a process to it that just is, you have to wrap your mind around all this stuff. The easy thing to do to me would be Pick a point in time in the future, end of semester, start of next semester, July 1 of 2022, July 1 of this year. Pick a point, set up your Google Analytics 4 tag, and make the switch then. You don't lose any data from before. That universal analytics tag will still exist, but start collecting data at a point where you feel like you could have a lull in site traffic. So that way you don't lose significant data that you may want to still have access to for reporting purposes. To me, that's the easiest thing to do. And again, for some of you, it might not be too big of a deal to just say, you know what, I don't care, I'm going today. And you might want to go and set up that Google Analytics for today and do it. Okay. Like I said, the data's not going away. They're not getting rid of it. It's just going to stop collecting in the future. That's it. So let me really quick. Um, yeah, so I'll drop this into the chat as well. This is the KB doc for setting up Google Analytics. I have updated it with screenshots and a process for Google Analytics 4. So that information is in there as well. So like I said, if you're okay with and I'm very much this way, I'm very much a pull the cord now kind of person. I might decide, you know what, next Monday is when I'm going to start collecting data via Google Analytics 4, and that's it, and that's the list. So, we can have further conversations. We'll talk a little bit about office hours, and if you guys wanted to set up some time with me in the future to talk through this a little bit more in depth, we can certainly schedule some time out and have this conversation. So, I will hold for a second if any questions come through. Go ahead and ask them. Like I said, it's complicated. Don't overthink it now. We do have a year, but I want you to be aware of the fact that it's happening. Plan accordingly. And again, for some of you guys, it might not be a big deal. You might decide, what's a few days worth of data at the end of the week or something like that. For some of you, it may be a little more significant just based on all the reporting. Some of you may be more analytics power users than I am or that others are. So it may take a little bit more planning on your end. But there's nothing there's nothing stopping you from creating your Google Analytics 4 now and then just implementing it in the future. So okay, Google services updates, Dunzos. There was one thing. Sorry, I have a cough. I apologize. I'm going to mute my mic quick. Okay, sorry about that. There was one thing that I did want to touch on it is a bug that I have seen. I shouldn't say a bug. It's not a bug. It's just something that happens that I see folks do from time to time that creates a bug on the page, but it's because of certain things that exist within code. So for those of you who use accordion panels and are heavy accordion panel users, one of the things that I see groups do often is when they are creating new pages or when they are adding new accordion panels to an existing page and they want to just update or replicate some things, they will go into their page and they will copy out all of this stuff in here, copy it, go into an accordion panel page. And then in the text editor, I'll title hello. Just dump it in there. What I want you to see that happens is, and I've talked about this in training, and I've talked about this in the past about things, but when you copy and paste from certain sources, web pages, Microsoft Word, PDFs, things like that, a lot of stuff happens in the background that you don't see because you're just copying and pasting into a text editor. But here's what happens in the background. This is the code right here that builds this specific accordion panel. But because it's being pasted into this new accordion panel, it doesn't, the page will not know what to do because this isn't this. And so what happens is these can no longer be clicked. They get broken essentially. So what you need to do is one of two things. One is when you copy and paste from existing accordion panels, you can either click on the text tab and just paste in directly there. And now it is no longer there. Or use, so you can toggle your toolbar here, click on paste as text, and what this does is it makes anything that you paste in just straight text. And then unclick it to get rid of that. But now what happens is I don't have that extra code in the background. Those divs and those calls to a different accordion panel. So this has happened a number of times over the past couple of years. I've troubleshot it with a few folks. It's one of those things where I've done it so much that when somebody, similar to the events 404 error page thing, it's happened so much that I just, as soon as the message comes in, I'm like, yep, I know what it is, and I go to look. This is what's happening. It's just that extra code in the background. So you just have to be aware of that and be careful when you are copying and pasting from any source, Word, other web pages, PDFs, any type of documents that may have additional styling applied to them or additional code applied to them. All right. Any questions on that? He says as he takes a drink quick. Okay. Seeing oh, yeah, and so another thing to do is, so I have my paste this text off at the moment. I don't want to go through the process of setting the camera up. But what you can do is for Windows users, if you hold down Control Shift, and you know how Control C is copy, Control V is paste. If you hold down Control Shift V, that is also paste as text. So you'll see I did Control Shift V. And so for those of you who are Mac users, it's Command Shift V. Command C is copy, Command V is paste. Command Shift V is paste as text. So that's something, and actually that's what I do whenever I do any sort of copying and pasting from essentially any sources. Is I always do my Control Shift V. I always paste as text because I don't know, I'm in the habit of that. I do that so much. I want to make sure I strip out all styling because usually what I'll do is I will write up for example, here's the message I sent out to everybody today. I wrote it in my Notepad my text editor. This is no styling at all. So I'll copy this and paste it into an email, and I'll still do Control Shift V because I don't want any accidental styling to occur in the email when I create it. So okay, let's see. Copying and pasting to create accordion panels. All right, so let's chat about gravity forms. We're going faster than I thought we would be, so If you have any questions, go ahead and throw them into there. But let's chat a little bit about gravity forms and what's happening with gravity forms. So, in the past couple of weeks, I have updated a number of the plugins. Gravity Forms is one that I haven't done. Oh, let's talk about the bug with Gravity, or I shouldn't say the bug, the issue with Gravity Forms. Then I'll talk about the update. So, one of the issues that we have seen with gravity forms, it's very infrequent, but it does happen, is from time to time, some of you will reach out to us and say, I am getting um, duplicate submissions from a particular individual, and you'll get a gravity form notification, and it'll be the exact same stuff that a person sent in, 2 weeks before. We can't really pinpoint how to stop this, but what happens is if a person has left a tab open with that form that has sent, or if they have bookmarked a page that is a form and they uh, um, if they bookmark it, click on the bookmark and it goes, and some of that stuff had already been filled out and it processes it, that is what will cause a duplicate entry to be sent to you. And we've noticed this mostly in mobile use, in phones or tablets. We haven't gotten it much in a desktop function, but that's basically it. If the tab is left open with the form, or if the form is a bookmarked page and people just go back to it, and it will automatically process the form again once they click on the bookmark. It's a caching thing. It it's the internet. So just be aware that if you see some multiples coming through, reach back out to the person and say, have you closed the page or the tab? Are you going to it fresh? Are you going to a bookmark, etc. That's how you can troubleshoot this a little bit there. Okay, so that's the gravity form issue that we've seen, the duplicate entries. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about um, gravity forms update. So, as I was saying at the start of this, I've updated a number of plugins over the past couple of weeks, but I have held off on Gravity Forms because Gravity Forms made a significant change to the user experience of the plugin that is going to, I don't think it's going to be a huge problem for a number of you, but it is going to throw some of you off because it changes the way that you build the forms, and very specifically, it changes the way that you embed the forms. So, in the past, when you wanted to embed a form on a page, there is this button in the text editor that just says add form. And then you go in, you select your form, etc., and then it appears on the page. Well, Gravity Forms 2.6, that version has updated and that button no longer exists. Now, what happens is, and I'm in our QA environment, so that's why it looks a little bit different. You'll notice the button is now gone. So now what happens is when you build a form, there is this embed option on it. And if you click on that, here's the problem. If I select a page for it to go to and I say insert form, it's not inserting it. And the reasoning that we think that this is happening is because they're building gravity forms to work with modern WordPress editors, and the modern WordPress editor is something called Gutenberg, and it uses block editing. We don't use Gutenberg within the UW theme because we have found it to have accessibility issues. We haven't revisited that in recent because we just simply haven't. We have built it as it was. But when Gutenberg released, God, I want to say a year to a year and a half ago. I don't know the exact timing of that. Our developers were looking at it, and UW marketing developers were looking at it, and it had significant accessibility issues. And so we decided we're not going to build for it because we're not going to deal with those accessibility issues. The problem is Gutenberg is, I guess, quote unquote, the future of WordPress. And so, as much as we can build the UW theme to be what we want it to be, plugins that we use aren't going to build for us. They're going to build for the broader audience of WordPress. So, this is one of those instances where I think they built for WordPress and it has a negative effect on us. So, how do you get around this? It's pretty simple, honestly. It's not a game breaking thing. But if you go to that embed button again, there's a copy shortcode function. If you know what page and where you want it to be, you can just click on copy shortcode. You go over to the page you want it to appear on, and then you just paste it in. And there's the shortcode. It's the exact same thing that happens when you click add form. And now this form would appear on this particular page. Yeah. So there's the form now. So I mean that's the big issue here is just the ability to embed it. I can, Sarah, give me a second, then I'll walk through it again. Um, it's and like I said, it's not game breaking. It's just frustrating, and it's just going to take a couple of extra steps on your end to update that. So okay, so to do that again, if you're looking at the form that you want to embed on your page, you would build it. There's something else that I need to show you in here as well, but I want to touch on this first because this is most significant. Um, find the form, build it, save it. Once you're ready to put it on the page, you click on embed up here in the upper right. And again, these two things don't work for us right now. And so what we do is we click copy shortcode. It'll tell you it's copied. Then go to the page that you want to display this on and just paste it in. And then update the page, obviously, or publish it if it's a brand new page. So that's the process for embedding that form and page now. And I'll document this, and uh, create like a little video in our knowledge base to kind of walk people through this process. Our developers have looked at it. It's just you know because it's not breaking anything, we can't really we can't really put much effort right now into trying to figure out a way to sort of get it back to the way it was because it's not broken. It works. We have a workaround for it. It's fine. It's just you have to just adjust your process. That's it. So we'll continue to look at this in the future to see if there are some options that exist. But for now, it's uh, it's just it's the way it is, unfortunately. Okay, so a couple other things about forms that I wanted to touch on with this 2.6 update that are significant is first and foremost when you add particular fields that have multiple options. So let's say, for example, radio buttons. I'll dump that into there. Let me zoom in so you can see this a little bit better. Hide you. Okay. So now what happens is if you look here, here's my radio button. What used to be is over here on the right side, you would see the options that you would edit. You now have to click on the choices, edit choices button there, and it becomes a flyout. And here is how you can update those values now. So again, I don't know. I'm certain there's a problem that was being fixed here. I'm just not sure what the problem was that was being fixed here. But they fixed the problem, which is now you have this button here. It creates this little flyout on the left. This is how you can edit those values there. And then the last thing to be aware of is at the very bottom, your forms will automatically generate and apply the submit button. And if you want to make any changes to that, you can by clicking on it and editing the settings over here on the right. So, for example, if I wanted it to say, instead of submit, I might want to say submit choices. That's how I make that change there. If I want to change the appearance, if I wanted to fill the width or if I wanted to just be a simple button there, I kind of like the way that the fill container looks. If you look down here, it's just, I don't know, makes it stand out more to me if it fills the whole bottom there. That's a me thing, but I just want you to see what that difference is there. And then the end of the last row or the end of the form, I would always put it as end of the form. I'm not really sure because like end of the last row, like this would put the submit button next to one of the choice options. Not sure I like that idea. So I would always say end of form there. And then obviously you can put conditional logic on this. So say you have like a consent checkbox that you want people to click on. You might put some conditional logic on the submit button, where the submit button will not appear unless somebody puts a check in your consent checkbox. So some interesting changes. I don't mind the submit one. I kind of like the submit being now a part of the form instead of having to go to settings to edit the submit button. I'm not sure I'm on board with the change to the the choices for these particular types of fields. So okay, so that's the Gravity Forms updates. Those are the big updates there, and nobody can probably hear Jenna if I ask her to pipe in. But Jenna, do you have anything that I should touch on? And
Yeah, I do have a couple things. I don't. So
oh, yep, you're coming
this.
through now. Woohoo!
Oh, awesome. Hi, everyone. Um, I just wanted to give a quick update. I think most folks know that we're doing like a feature request board, and we had tried to commit to, like doing quarterly reviews of that with our team so that we are consistently looking at what is floating to the top. I just wanted to note, like, we are still doing that. We're still keeping an eye on things that folks are requesting and upvoting. We appreciate you submitting those and upvoting issues, or sorry, requests. And you will see some things coming through soon. I think that the things that have floated to the top just happen to be things that take a little longer, but just wanted to let you know we are working on some improvements for you and hope to have those rolling out to you soon.
Oh, okay, sorry, I had to unmute all of my things here. Yeah, let me really quick bring up the feature request board KB doc just so people can see it. Um, there we go. So that's the feature request board. Again, we use GitLab for all of our task tracking, and then we also have this feature request board where you can go and honestly, even if you don't have something that um, you want to create, honestly, we just want you to be involved in the process. So what you could do is you might look at like a let's see, ability to save a draft of a published page. You might look at that and you might go, you know what, I've kind of want that to be something as well. You could, I'm not logged in, obviously, to it, but you could upvote it. You could downvote it if you wanted to. If you're like, this isn't important to me. I mean, I don't know why you would want to downvote things, but that's that. So, again, honestly, we would encourage all of you to take a look at the board and get involved. Because the more we hear from you, the more it helps us take a look at our processes and our deliverables. Okay. Last up on the list is we had an open lab last week. Thank you to those who attended. Thank you for the patience in us troubleshooting ourselves. Honestly, with the use of Zoom and the breakout rooms, and me just not being sure how to navigate all that comfortably. I don't use Zoom that often. Some of you may be way more comfortable with it than I. But it was successful. We had quite a few attendees, and we did get a lot of good conversation in there. So the difficulty is sometimes the technology doesn't work. Sometimes some of you will show up, and you'll have to wait around a little bit for your time, or some of you might go over because just the conversation takes that long, and we don't want to like break in the middle of fixing something, be like, okay, well, we're almost there, let's talk about this at a future time. No, we want to finish the process. So Jenna and I are going to pilot something new for you all to take advantage of, which is we are creating office hour availability for you all to book time with us on our calendars. And so what you can do is, and I'm going to put the links in here because let me delete some things really quick. Nope, do that, Max. Do that and do that. Apologies, technology. So there's my doodle link. And then let me grab Jenna's real quick. There's Jenna's doodle link. And let me grab mine real quick again. Open up Edge. So what this is an opportunity for you to book time with us out ahead of the um the day. So for Jenna, I believe she has a week in advance that you can book with her. I think I have it set to 4 days in advance that you can book with me. But essentially, what this does is it allows you to take a look at my calendar, my availability, and book a time, a 25-minute time slot with me. And what it does is it generates an email to you, it generates an email to me, and it generates a calendar event as well on my Office 365 calendar. And so essentially, this is a way for you guys to book time with us during a certain time frame. So I don't remember what Jenna's was off the top of my head, and she can chime in and tell. But mine are Friday mornings from 9 until noon. That's my availability. That's when I'm doing my office hours for WiscWeb. Also for knowledge base, because I'm also on the knowledge base team. So, I will make myself available then as well. So, this is just a spot for you to, it says it right there. Book time to receive support, guidance, and consultation regarding your WISC website. Jenna's will take, okay, so she put in the chat hers. Jenna's will use Teams. Mine uses Zoom, mainly because I want to get more comfortable with using Zoom, and um, but I could do Teams, or I could do anything. Honestly, I have all the technology in the world that I don't want to have. But feel free to book some time with us if you guys feel like you need a little bit of just support time with us. The open labs are always well attended by WiscWeb folks. They're always useful. Um, and you know we want to make ourselves as available as we can to you, And as always, if the Friday morning doesn't work, I'm always open to booking time with you, as possible. Don't hesitate to reach out to me and say, Matt, I can't do a Friday. Could we do this day? Most of the time, that's going to work for me. But this is just something that I'm making official and actually putting it. It's in my signature now. I think it was in my signature this morning in the email that I sent out to everybody. You could see like um, look real quick. Yeah, you can kind of see it's now down at the bottom. That's my link um, for my office hours there. So you could always get in touch with me that way. Okay. Dun, 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 dun. Hey, I know gravity forms as well. I could help with that. Um, do we have specialties? I don't know. I think Jenna and I are pretty much on par with each other when it comes to the things that happen in WiscWeb. I don't know that either of us would be better than the other for any particular questions that come in. It would all depend upon experience as well. Like Jenna has seen some things that she's fixed that I haven't, and vice versa. Um, so sometimes it might just be, oh, I've never run into that before, and I could ask, I might reach out to Jenna and ask her that. Oh yes, I will. Yes, okay. If we're looking for specialties, data tables I have worked with quite a bit more than anybody else in the WiscWeb team. So if you have data table questions, reach out to me. But I mean, events calendar. No, I think we both are pretty comfortable with that. Gravity forms. I think we're both pretty comfortable with that. User experience, content strategy, accessibility stuff. I think we're both pretty comfortable with the conversation in general. Yeah, I guess it would be I do mornings, Jenna does afternoons. What works best for you? I wouldn't say. I would say so. Don't. And some people, and it might come down to a comfort thing as well. Some folks just like working with Jenna, um, and they have worked with her for quite a long time, more so than me. I take no offense to that, because yeah, I'm going to want to work with someone who I'm comfortable working with, and I have chatted with before. They know what we've talked about. So no, work with who you want to work with, who you're comfortable with. But if it's just a, hey, I've got a question, who's available? Okay, go ahead and throw something on. I don't take offense, by the way. It was just funny to me that like that was what was pointedly said was for gravity forms help. Ask Jenna. Wait a minute. um, so that's it. That's this month's lunch and learn. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and throw them on into there. But that's it. Looking ahead, let's see. I'm not sure what things we have to look ahead to right now. Obviously, I'm going to be updating gravity forms within the next couple of weeks. I want to make sure that I document it properly first because, like I said, it's not a change that breaks things. It's just a change that's going to throw people off quite a bit. So I want to make sure I document it appropriately, and then I'll communicate out when I make that change. That's a big change. Oh, the events calendar. So if for those of you who have been around long enough, you know that the events calendar has been ominously waiting to update to version 6.0, which is going to remove all of these old styles. So if I go back in, for those of you who have been around, you know that events calendar looks a certain way. It is changing and the styles are updating. You can go in and update those styles yourself by going into your events settings and using the new styles. We still don't know what day exactly 6.0 is going to release, but it's coming. And honestly, once 6.0, once they actually deliver the date that they're going to make this change, I will do a learn with Matt for events calendar because I actually do have the new events calendar in my um environment, my web hosting environment. I should see if I can update. I probably can't. So I do have the new events calendar in, and there are some changes to it that aren't just styling. Thank you, Jenna. Um, there are some changes to it that aren't just style, but I don't want to demo any of that stuff yet because they're still beta testing quite a bit on their end as well. So um, once I know for sure that they have a release date and that's it, they're locked in, then I'll actually do I'll do some demoing for it. So okay, 12:57. I see that we're losing people in the numbers right now. So as always, never hesitate to get in touch with me if you have any questions, either through Teams, through email. Um, Otherwise, look forward to our office hours. I look forward to working with any of you in the future. Have a good. It's really breezy out. Have a good day. It's chilly and breezy out, so I wouldn't recommend anybody get out and enjoy the sun. But have a good day. Have a good weekend. Have a good Easter. And for those of you who celebrate it, and I will talk to everybody soon. Thank you for attending.